The story of Georgia is one that many haven't heard, yet it's filled with twists and turns that few countries can match. Hey there, everyone. I'm here to talk about the history of Georgia. Now, if you don't know much about Georgia, it's a small country sandwiched between Europe and Asia, but its history stretches back so far that it feels like the beginning of time. But let's start where most history starts, way back in the days of our ancestors. Humans have lived here for tens of thousands of years, and around 1.8 million years ago, some of the oldest human remains ever found outside of Africa were discovered in Dumansi. This means that Georgia was a part of where humans first started spreading out from Africa. Fast forward to the Bronze Age and we find a society that knew how to make advanced metal tools and weapons. The Georgians of this time were experts in working with gold, copper, and iron, making beautiful jewelry and ornaments. They also made their own alphabet around 500 BC, which is pretty mind-blowing considering how old that is. Now we can't talk about Georgia without mentioning one of the craziest parts of its history, the Greek myths. You know those stories about gods and heroes like Jason and the Argonauts? Well, believe it or not, the place where Jason went to find the Golden Fleece might have been here in Georgia. Colchis, an ancient kingdom on Georgia's Black Sea coast, may have been the real-life inspiration for those epic tales. Colchis and Iberia in eastern Georgia were not just important in mythology. They were centers of trade, culture, and some of the earliest examples of statehood in the region. The next big chapter in Georgia's history is when it became one of the very first countries to adopt Christianity as a state religion back in the 4th century. This happened before England, France, and even Italy. How crazy is that? Legend has it that a woman named Saint Nino from Turkey came to Georgia and told the king about Jesus Christ. The king, Mirian III of Iberia, was convinced and became a Christian. He and his son, King Vaktingai, worked together to spread Christianity throughout the country. This changed Georgia forever. Instead of paganism, the people now followed Jesus. Stone churches started appearing in mountain valleys, and the Christian faith gave the people a strong sense of unity against outside powers. After the death of Vaktung I, the Kingdom of Iberia and the Kingdom of Colchis united to form the Kingdom of Georgia in the 10th century. By the 12th century, under the rule of King David the Builder and later Queen Tamar, the Great Georgia became a powerful Christian kingdom, stretching from the Black Sea to the Caspian Sea. This was what historians call the Golden Age of Georgia. It was a time when great churches like Gelati Monastery and Svetitskovli Cathedral were built, mixing faith and amazing artwork. The Queen Tamar was famous for her intelligence and skill in ruling. She liked to disguise herself as a man and secretly go out to see how her people were doing. The people loved her and called her the second mother of the nation after Queen Nana. She made sure that trade and culture flourished, making Georgia even wealthier and more respected. The royal family, the Bagration, ruled for over 300 years until the Mongols arrived. In the 13th century, Mongol armies led by Genghis Khan's grandson, Hulagu Khan, stormed through the Caucasus, destroying many cities and weakening the kingdom. After the Mongols left, other groups from Persia, the Ottomans, and other nearby powers took turns invading and controlling parts of Georgia. The once mighty kingdom split into 3 parts, each trying to survive under the rule of these outsiders. This fragmentation lasted for a long time, with Georgia still being divided when Russia came along. Georgia's troubles started when 2 groups, the Persians and the Ottomans, kept fighting over the region. Both sides wanted to be the boss, but neither could stay on top for too long. The Russians noticed this chaos and saw their chance to get involved. Back in 1783, King Erikle II of Kartli-Koketi asked the Russians for help to put an end to the fights. This led to a deal called the Treaty of Georgievsk, where Russia promised to protect Georgia in exchange for some land. But things didn't turn out as the Georgians hoped. Throughout the 19th century, tensions grew between the Russians in charge and the Georgians. Despite the differences, Russia invested in building better roads, schools, and factories in Georgia. But as time went on, the Georgians felt less and less free, and more angry. Many young Georgians, especially intellectuals and writers, started thinking about throwing off the Russian rule and getting independence. This feeling of wanting to be free became stronger and stronger, turning into a full-blown movement for independence in the late 19th century. Leaders who wanted Georgia to be its own country again started speaking up, inspiring lots of people to fight for freedom. One of the main symbols of this movement was a group of volunteers called the Marchers. They got their name because they walked from the town of Telavi to Tbilisi to show support for freedom. Even though Russia tried to stop them with force, the Georgian dream of independence did not go away. Then in 1917, the Russian Empire collapsed. This happened because of a big war in Europe, World War I, which made the Russians lose lots of soldiers and money. People in Russia started getting fed up with the Tsar, who was the leader, and he ended up leaving the country. When this happened, the people of Georgia took their chance. They no longer wanted to wait for freedom. They wanted it right now. So on May 1918, the Georgian National Assembly declared that Georgia was an independent country once again. This was a very happy time for the people of Georgia. Finally, they had the government they wanted and the freedom to make their own choices. They proudly called their new country the Democratic Republic of Georgia. For those 3 years, the government worked hard to create democratic systems, elected officials and laws that would protect the rights of the citizens. They also reached out to other countries in Europe, hoping to build strong relationships and learn from each other. During this time, many Georgians felt a sense of unity and pride in their country and its culture. But sadly, this freedom only lasted for 3 years. In 1921, the Red Army, which was controlled by the Bolsheviks, came into Georgia and took over. The Bolsheviks were a group of people in Russia who wanted to change how the country was being run. They had a leader named Vladimir Lenin. He believed that all the countries in the area should work together as one big socialist country called the Soviet Union. For those who don't know, socialists are folks who believe in sharing and working together. But sometimes when people try to share things, they don't always do it nicely. And that's what happened here. The Georgians did not want to join the Soviet Union. They wanted to keep their own country. But the Red Army was very strong, and soon the whole country of Georgia was under the control of the Soviets. During this time, life was tough. The Soviets took away the rights of the people and put harsh punishments on those who did not agree with them. Religion was not allowed. Schools and businesses had to follow what the Soviets said, and the country's name changed to the Socialist Republic of Georgia. Even though it was hard, the people of Georgia held on to their culture, language, and Orthodox faith, which helped them stick together during those tough times. Then, in the late 1980s, Mikhail Gorbachev became the leader of the Soviet Union. He tried to make the Soviet Union better by giving people more freedoms and encouraging them to think for themselves. This gave the people of Georgia hope that maybe they could become free again. In April 1989, a peaceful protest turned violent when police in Tbilisi, the capital city, got rough with people who wanted more freedom. This event, which became known as the Tbilisi demonstrations, was a turning point. It showed the rest of the world how the Soviets were treating the people of Georgia and made many countries feel bad. On April 9, 1991, something amazing happened. After a vote, 99% of the people of Georgia said yes to being independent again. Finally, after 70 years, Georgia was its own country once more. Freedom was back. However, being a free country meant that they had to solve many problems, especially from those years under the Soviets. The economy had to be fixed. There were internal fights, and it felt like everything was falling apart. But the Georgians did not give up. They kept moving forward. In the early 2000s, Georgia became friends with European countries and the United States. In 2008, even though there was a conflict with Russia, Georgia kept trying to improve. Today, Georgia is a different country. Its capital, Tbilisi, is a mix of old churches and cathedrals with modern buildings. Winemaking, an ancient tradition in the Kakheti region, has become a big business. The country's beautiful mountains and nature attract many tourists, and its people are known for their warm hospitality. Now, despite the tough times in its history, Georgia still has a lot to offer the world. Its ancient roots, stunning landscapes, and resilient people make it a place worth exploring and learning from. Who knows what the future holds for Georgia? But one thing is sure, the story of Georgia will keep unfolding for many years to come. If you liked this video, please leave a comment below. Tell us about yourself and ask any questions you might have. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching.